What makes a woman attractive? Of course, femininity. But how can femininity be emphasized with one's clothes? It's very simple. Wear skirts. But what skirts should be worn? What style? What's the best way to combine them? What skirts are in fashion today? Learn more about this in our program. Today, it is difficult to imagine a modern woman who doesn't have a single skirt. It is the skirt that gives femininity and sexuality to an image. By putting on a skirt, a woman instantly changes. She becomes more feminine, soft, fragile. Her gait changes, and even her look changes. Of course, a girl or a woman looks more feminine in a skirt. It should definitely be elegant, color and the silhouette, so that it should fit the woman perfectly, so she feels like some kind of queen. It is so beautiful when a girl is in a beautiful skirt. It's not only she, everything around her is changing. Surely you agree that women's trousers will not be able to compete with the elegance of skirts. The skirt allows a woman to look sophisticated as well as attractive. I'm in favor of classical canons when a woman is feminine looking and a man is manly. If there is a choice between trousers and a skirt, then, of course, only a skirt. The skirt was the first element of clothing which is used in our times, although in ancient times it resembled a skirt very remotely. It was just a loincloth, which was worn not only by women but also by men, although most likely this attribute was used only by men. The women of ancient Greece could not afford to wear a skirt at all. They wore a tunic over their naked bodies. But with the passage of time, the skirt became indispensable in women's wardrobes. And accordingly, here we can follow those settlements that were closer to cities or near roads, where more people, merchants, passed through. Skirts appeared there earlier. Where there were fewer roads, there was a more preserved culture. For a long time they wore belt clothing in the form of cloth. That is, it was, as a rule, not stitched together clothing, perhaps one piece of cloth. It could be put together, but in fact it is a square or rectangular piece of fabric that was simply wrapped around the waist, and it was fixed on top with the help of the belt. Gradually, the skirts became more lush and elegant. In the 16th century, multi-layered skirts were all the rage. They were narrow at the waist and widened at the bottom. The most chic thing was if a woman had a waist like the neck of her cavalier. Some women even broke their bones, but pulled themselves up to 33 centimeters. The fashion in skirts was constantly changing. If we look at periods at 1850s, 1860s, 1870s, it meant wearing crinolines. If we're talking about the 1870s, 80s and 90s, this was about wearing bustles, which were padded undergarments. A bustle was a trendy device in the 1870s to 1880s, which was put by ladies behind the dress below the waist to give pomp to the figure and keep the skirt from dragging. The bottom part under the skirt was an entire architectural structure. It had a lot of wrap ribbons, all kinds of garters and buckles, which had to keep the shape and create such a puff. The dressmakers used 3 or 4 kinds of fabrics in a skirt, and the fabrics rustled when the lady walked. Special attention was paid to petticoats. The girl wore a beautiful lace skirt on top of these skirts. A man could see a few centimeters of very beautiful, delicate lace underwear, which, by the way, was quite often ordered from France. By the way, embroidered petticoats in women's monasteries were considered the most chic, and a woman would put on such a cape. Of course, it was difficult for them to wear. But despite such difficulties, a woman simply had to look beautiful. and decorate the world, and a beautiful woman should have a beautiful skirt. If a woman was rich, those were the skirts embroidered with rhinestones, fur, sometimes even feathers. Sometimes these were very beautiful wings of beetles, embroidered with soutache ribbons, more ribbons. But the beauty of these skirts was the underwear. There's even a proverb, gathered in a rush, so everything that was under the skirt was regarded to be a bustle. Accordingly, the richer the man or family, the greater the number of fluffy skirts she had and skirts in total. Perhaps there was no such choice of styles of skirts earlier, but it was possible to choose a fabric for every taste. And they were only natural ones. This silk and cotton, cambric and lace, jacquard fabric, which was considered one of the most expensive. Skirts of various fabrics were soon depending on the season. Thicker velvet skirts were worn in winter, because it was necessary to somehow get warmer. Underneath it, in winter, quilted skirts were worn. That is 2 layers of cotton, between them batting, cotton wool, which was quilted. This is how they warmed up. In spring or autumn, taffeta fabric was worn. In summer, marquisette, batiste, cotton, lace, and lace fabric. Over the years, fashion became simpler. Skirts were getting shorter. This was due to the war and post-war period. The fashion industry was not developing, the era of balls was over, and women were forced to go to work. Accordingly, the clothes became more practical. At the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century, skirts in line with the fashion of that time reached the bones, actually the ground. And over time they became smaller and shorter. And we look at traditional clothes, they barely covered the knees in the 1940s. Today designers present a variety of skirts in their collections. Various lengths, styles, textures and colors. The main thing is that the skirt emphasizes the dignity of the figure. It is very important to understand what kind of skirts are in fashion. All skirts are in trend now, it's true. If we're talking about the length, the mini and midi, maxi are fashionable. Here you can choose what's more convenient for you, and don't forget that it should suit the event you're going to. I think that ladies should have long skirts, because when a woman is wearing a long skirt, she feeds on the energy of the earth, and thanks to this, she inspires everyone. The length of the skirt is different, maxi, midi and mini. The maxi skirt is ankle length, midi is mid-calf, and the mini skirt is 15 centimeters above the knees. And a mini skirt is suitable for the most daring and eccentric young ladies. If you have beautiful legs, then a mini skirt is for you. Although today miniskirts are like what shirts should be. This is a linen style with lace and tweed, a diverse suit and silk. But again, remember, it depends if you have the figure for it, and it suits the place you are going to. By the way, miniskirts became known in the fashion world thanks to English woman Mary Quant, the owner of a clothing store who decorated mannequins in miniskirts in the 1960s. The skirt can be straight, extended downwards and tapered. Every designer has their favorite silhouette of a skirt, which he or she uses in collections. We have our special elements in skirts. This is a flippy skirt or a full circle skirt, which makes the butt much smaller and the waist much smaller visually. We achieve this with the help of a certain cut, where necessary a bias cut, where necessary the cross-cut line. We always do wide volumetric tuck-ups, which now, almost 15 years later, are still popular. I was the first 15 years ago to start working in this style. The skirt has a bell-shaped silhouette, and it is beautifully pleated when a woman walks. Another fairly common silhouette is the pencil skirt. The ideal solution not only for women who want to demonstrate elegant forms, but also for those who want to hide any excess weight. Slots or cuts can be added to the pencil skirt. If the pencil skirt is straight, it should end where the narrowest part of the leg is. When you're standing in front of the mirror, you see the length of the skirt, and the most important thing is the high waist. Today, a modern cut allows the designer to fantasize. This may be a pleated skirt or a sun skirt, a half sun, a wraparound skirt, a petticoat, flared, a tulip skirt, and a slant cut. But nothing is newer than long-forgotten old. I use all the elements that our grandmothers used, for example, decorating. First of all, the actual cut. We talked about the fact that in the past skirts were collected. Masters took several fabrics, collected them. Then they were collected from above and sewn to the belt. This principle is preserved in the classic collection. Well, it is very important for me because the top is put together by hand. The woman should feel that she's putting on something not from the mass market, but made especially for her. And in fact, it's like a kind from ethno-chic. Don't forget about the decor. I decorated skirts with different colored fabrics – red, green. Today, not only designers but also mass markets offer fashionable skirts for the fairer sex in a wide range. It is believed that flared skirts best hide flaws in a figure. However, many women love these products not for this feature. Flared skirts and pleated skirts are back in fashion this season. Tiered flared skirts look interesting. There is just a different structure to the fabric. There are two layers. The tailoring is the same, but double layered. The guipure or mesh top is also added. According to designers and stylists, regardless of trends, every woman should have such a universal element of clothing as a skirt. In addition, it is very practical. After all, the skirt can be combined with different parts of the female wardrobe. That is, you can diversify your wardrobe. In fact, having one basic thing complementing it with different elements there on top or bottom or accessories. It is very convenient and makes your money go further. I suggest combining everything with white shirts, because it seems to me that a white shirt and a white blouse is an investment in a wardrobe for every woman. I like it when a lady puts on a cashmere round neck sweater in winter. It shows off her waist. Let's say she has some kind of shaggy cashmere round neck sweater. It looks great with tights and ankle boots. In addition to women's skirts, everyone knows about the Celtic kilt for men, which only brave Scots wore in the past. Today it is worn only on the main holidays by all descendants of the Celts. But even this is present in the wardrobe of beautiful women. Fashion changes so quickly that today the skirt sometimes resembles the same loincloth that ancient people wore. Yet today there is complete freedom in the world of fashion. All skirts are trendy. Long, short, casual and elegant, fluffy and slim silhouette. Color, classical and avant-garde. It can be a velvet, leather, fur or denim skirt. The choice of style and length is entirely yours. You can complement a skirt with original accessories, belts, rhinestones. Skirts are beautiful and practical. In order to attract the attention of others, especially men, isn't it better for a woman to wear a skirt and show your feminine side to the whole world?